So, Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League is, or perhaps was, one of the biggest and most hyped games to be released in 2023. It is set in the Arkham universe, and it is being developed by Rocksteady Studios, who also developed the very highly regarded Batman Arkham games. So you could be forgiven to think that them making a supervillain game is incredibly exciting. I mean, who doesn't want a game where you get to run around as supervillains trying to take down the Justice League who, with the exception of Wonder Woman, have been brainwashed by Brainiac, right? On paper, Kill the Justice League sounds like a whole bunch of fun, but recent developments from Sony State of Play at the back end of February have almost killed all my excitement and other players' excitement around the game totally. So today, that's what we're going to be talking about. So, if you didn't already know, Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League received a ton of negative press from the Sony State of Play demo, and seemingly because of that, once again the game has been delayed from May 2023, and I quote, until sometime later this year. Now, Rocksteady claim this is to add more polish to the game, similar to why Did I Survivor was delayed by 6 weeks. But with Kill the Justice League, it requires a lot more than a few months of polish to get me, and apparently many others, excited about the game once again. And if I'm being completely honest, I, along with many others, think the game needs an almost redesign and redevelopment for many reasons, which would take years, but that's obviously not possible, as it seems only a few tweaks will be made between now and its release, and that's not good. So, let's dive straight in. With the Batman Arkham games, Rocksteady made a name for themselves by totally raising the bar of superhero games. Each Arkham game was a Game of the Year contender and incorporated a variety of game mechanics like stealth, free-flowing melee combat and detective work that games released since have taken inspiration from. On the flip side, it does seem apparent that the Suicide Squad characters can jump around and grapple to literally anything and go anywhere they want. Why? Well, because reasons, that's why. From the gameplay I've seen of Kill the Justice League, not a single part of it makes me think this game is going to be anywhere near the calibre of the Arkham games, and it appears a lot of other people on social media are thinking the exact same thing. It appears it's too akin to the likes of Marvel's Avengers and Gotham Knights in terms of mediocrity, and is a long way from how well we know Rocksteady can make superhero games. Making a multiplayer third-person shooter or action RPG after they perfected the single-player side of things that defined a generation is a big no-no to the fans of the previous titles. By turning Suicide Squad into a third-person shooter with emphasis on looting and ranged attacks, makes it feel more like a generic action RPG than a successor to the Arkham games. And without a doubt, one of the worst features about this game, it is yet another live service co-op shooter game. These games are becoming more and more common these days, and for no good reason. As far as I'm concerned, it's a no-go, and let me tell you why. By design, a live service game is designed to take up a lot of your time and attention, so they end up spending more money on these games than any other. It's effectively a subscription service for a single game that doesn't even last that long. In recent years, we've seen these kind of games have a lifespan of just a couple of years before the studio shuts the service down and moves on to another title. I'm almost certain a similar thing is going to happen with Kill the Justice League and other live-action co-op games. However, I will happily eat humble pie if this game turns out to be a major success, though the early indicators aren't promising. Furthermore, there will be a live service battle pass for the game with an online store where you can spend a crazy amount of money for cosmetics which don't affect gameplay whatsoever. Microtransactions in general are one of my biggest irks around the gaming industry these days, and I'd love for game publishers just to get rid of them, but it appears that won't be happening anytime soon. And if you want to play this game offline or with friends locally, you've got no chance at all. You have to have a constant and stable internet connection at any given time, even if you're playing in single player mode, and not to mention, the game doesn't support local co-op. So, part of what made the Arkham games so good was its successful use of characters' unique arsenal of melee weapons and gadgets, and it appears Kill the Justice League has just gotten rid of all of that completely. If you've watched the gameplay trailer, you see Captain Boomerang flying around shooting high-powered guns to kill enemies. So, where are his unique trick boomerangs and all the rest of his unique arsenal? It's kind of a punch in the face of the character's comic book origins, and it ruins what makes each character unique. This also means that the combat they've made the Arkham games so good probably won't be making an appearance. Instead, we're going to have combat that seems like it just belongs to a different franchise. I mean, fair play to Rocksteady for trying something new, I guess, but based on the reaction of the fans from the gameplay trailers, everyone is thinking the same. Why fix something that isn't broken in the first place? And I know I keep banging on about the Arkham games, but they were truly amazing games, and another thing that Rocksteady seems to have disregarded from those is the amazing stealth and detective mechanics from them. Are you telling me that at no point during the story of Kill the Justice League there'll be no place for any stealth or investigation whatsoever, and instead we're just going to have massive gunfights for literally everything? It seems these mechanics have been replaced by generic RPG elements like looting and improving gear score, which by the way looks rather poor. I'd suspect improving gear numbers won't even have much of an effect on how you perform in a gunfight anyway. Another thing that grinds my gears is the lack of character customization. I mean, I'm sure with the Battle Pass online store we'll be able to purchase, with real life money may I add, a plethora of weapons and weapon skins, but nothing to make the characters unique. It certainly looks like no matter which character you play as, the result will always be pretty much the same. You'll be zipping around the map, firing the same assault rifles or sniper rifles, and you'll probably have none or perhaps very few unique abilities to those characters that made them so iconic in the comic books. It has been 8 years since Rocksteady released the Arkham Knight game, and no doubt this is probably what they've been spending millions of dollars making, but I, and many others, just feel like it's not going to succeed after the latest news about it being yet another generic live service action RPG / third person shooter game. I feel like they've missed a trick, and it could well be that Kill the Justice League is a game that could end up pushing a lot of game publishers away from making these live action service games if it indeed flops, which by the way I hope it doesn't, but it would be a very expensive and painful lesson for Warner Brothers if it does. So, what do you think about the news and the gameplay footage surrounding Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League? Are you disappointed, still excited, or a bit apprehensive of getting it? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and if you're still here, it would be totally awesome if you could support my channel by hitting those like and subscribe buttons. And as always, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.